Welcome to Loup TV. I'm your host, Gene Munster, along with Andrew Murphy. Our topic today is Apple retail, what it looks like in the next 2, 5, 10 years from now. Andrew, welcome. And I'm going to give some quick background on retail for those who have not been keeping close score at home. Apple now has 510 retail locations globally. About 270 of those, or just over 50%, are in the US. The US accounts for just over 15% of global GDP, over indexing. Apple stores under index in countries like Japan. Japan is the third largest country by GDP, and it is 10 stores. Germany is the fourth largest. They have 15 stores there. And so not all regions are created equally when it comes to Apple stores and the coverage there. Also want to mark a moment where a year ago, Apple started closing stores related to the pandemic and has created this jolt to the system. Bring in you here, Andrew. What has the jolt been? How have Apple been reacting to this new environment just over the past year? So now we're not talking about going forward. We're just talking about over the last 12 months.
Yeah, it's not an anniversary you ever want to celebrate, but they'll be reopening stores this year around the world. But those stores are never going to be the same. Crowded retail stores are less appealing for consumers, and we've learned new habits around online shopping and delivery, pickup. So, what's Apple doing to kind of experiment to thrive in this new retail reality? They've opened up 17 Target mini stores is a recent announcement. They've adjusted store hours, shortening store hours at certain stores. Then they're also experimenting with new delivery options, new ways to get you whatever you want from Apple faster, more conveniently, with more consultation, things like that.
All that makes sense. Why would they adjust store hours? What's the advantage there?
Well, I've been wondering the same thing. Coffee shops that open later during COVID or Apple stores that aren't open on certain days, if anything, they would need more time to fit those fewer customers spaced out more. And I don't know the answer other than the fact that demand for retail stores, retail traffic is down. Let's pair those hours to match the retail traffic. And they can do that obviously most easily on the ends of that.
Makes sense. And so here we are. And during that period, Apple's done exceptionally well. They've grown revenue at, call it, 20% in the most recent quarter and been able to navigate this. It has had some impacts. But when we think about not only what Apple's done, but about maybe where the future of the consumer's mindset is about retail, how do you think Apple, the retail of the future, is going to evolve to capture where people are at?
Well, just broadly, our vision of retail in the future is sort of a three-legged stool. Online shopping, which will eventually consist of upwards of 60% of all retail. Automated retail, which we expect to be 30%. That is click to pickup or rapid, convenient, fast, sometimes automated things like getting groceries and picking them up at the store. That could be about 30%
That's
of
basically instant gratification.
yeah, in person, but much more convenient than the typical store experience.
Got it.
But sometimes that typical store experience is important. Something about the experience or the consultation, browsing and discovery is the third piece of our vision of the future of retail. That is empathic retail, which we think will represent about 10% of retail going forward at most.
Got
And
it.
Apple does a great job at that with the experience of the store, the Genius Bar. So, to get back to your question about the Apple Store of the future specifically, Apple crushes online shopping today. I think their online store is excellent. Just yesterday, I got a watch in the mail from them. Moments later, I got an email that told me how to set the watch up. They're humming on all cylinders with online shopping, and it's great to see. Automated retail, I think there's room to improve, right? The quick experience at the Apple store where you know what you want to jump in, jump out, and get to the birthday party that you need that gift for. There's room to improve there, I think, and an opportunity for the stores.
By the way,
Last
Andrew, can you please come to my birthday party?
Yeah, 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 I'll give you something fun from Apple too, if they'll give it to me quickly on the way. Empathic retail, again, Apple crushes it there. The experience, the Genius Bar, there's room for the service experience to live on in the Apple Store, and they've got a great asset there.
Makes sense when we think about the talk about the asset that they have kind of in the retail, those 510 locations. We typically break the store down into two parts. There's kind of the red zone at the front of the store. That's where it's pretty heavy on the products and they're really trying to sell there. And then the back half of the store is like more of the empathy side of it. It's support, service, there are accessories back there. You can kind of play around with different things. And so when we think about the front end of the store, the browsing experience, how important is that going to be in the future?
I think there's always going to be room for browsing, but like we talked about at the beginning, habits have changed. I think consumers have become more comfortable learning, discovering, browsing online and educating themselves about the products. But maybe that's where Apple has an opportunity to make the experience more automated, where the front of the store is about search and discovery and grabbing something quickly, right? Without
Got it.
going deep into
Oh,
the
I see what you're
store.
saying.
And the
I'm
back
I'm
of the
I'm
store is about the
seeing
experience.
visions or reminiscing about when back when the iPod was really hot around the holidays, you'd walk into an Apple store and they would have just box on top of box stacked behind a table, and then you
Yeah,
would just kind
quick
of go in
pickup
there,
lines.
pick up lines. Okay. So that'd be kind of the fast stop and go, check and go. So is there still room for people to kind of browse, discover? Is it all going to be online, or is there still room for that to be in person?
No, I think that's an important piece of and part of the front of the store experience. Then in the back of the store, they should double down on Genius Bar experience, consultation, one-on-one training, which they already do so well. I think they could create even more space and staffing for that.
Makes sense. And anything else, if you think about Apple over the next few years, do you think it's going to be predominantly anchored around the store, or do you see them when it comes to retail being creative, thinking outside the box?
Well, in many ways, I think their events, their product launch events, have suggested different ways that they are experimenting in a more digital, more virtual world where they no longer invite huge crowds to big splashy events, but they're doing that online. I think there's a version of that kind of innovation in their retail business, and I'm looking forward to see kind of what they come up with within that paradigm of online, automated, and empathic retail.
I think there's an opportunity for them also to kind of bridge that gap between where people are at, with shopping from home and creating a better experience. And I think that there's a massive opportunity for them to do a better job of reaching out to people when they're in their homes and can think about where that goes over the long haul. And when we put that in the context of the number of stores, just over 500 now, where do you think that number of retail stores is in 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I would think it is slightly higher. I'll put 555 stores in 5 years. All international growth. Some domestic contraction, actually, is where I would expect them to net out.
I think I'm right there with you. I'll take maybe the slight under. I'll say 525, just 15 stores add in the next 5 years. Pretty modest growth, but I think how consumers think about Apple retail, I think it's going to take a step forward. And I think they're going to find ways to do what they've done all along, which is kind of be on the cutting edge. I think what they did, I think back to taking the optical drive out of a MacBook, that was crazy that they did that. And now who cares about your optical drive? Where are those DVDs? When they took the 3.5 inch or the jack, the headphone jack out of the iPhone, that was who would ever want to buy an iPhone without a headphone jack, and no one ever thinks about it anymore. I think they got an opportunity to do something similar around retail. One thing, they are a well-run organization, and when they do it, they're going to do it with excellence, and look forward to tracking that. And thank you, Andrew, for guiding the way for us in the future of Apple. On behalf of Andrew and Gene and Loop TV, bye for now.